if I could take you up in paradise up above. If you will tell me I'm the only one.
A mind that's weak and a back that's strong, you load the 16-ton.
Before rock and roll took over completely, there was a strange and wonderful stretch of years when America's biggest songs were about doggies and windows.
How much is that doggie in the window?
Coal miners, and a man who cried so hard on the radio that teenagers rioted just to see him do it.
If you cry.
These songs sold millions of copies and ruled the airwaves for months at a time. Now most of them have quietly disappeared.
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Here are 10 of the biggest radio hits of the 1950s that you almost never hear anymore. Number 10, That Doggie in the Window by Patti Page.
How much is that doggie in the window?
A songwriter named Bob Merrill wrote this one as a simple, sentimental tune about a girl who has to move away and wants to buy her sweetheart a puppy so he won't be lonely.
I read in the papers there are robbers.
Patti Page recorded it in December of 1952 with an actual dog bark worked right into the track. It shot to number 1 in 1953 and stayed on the charts for 5 months straight.
How much is that doggie in the window?
Pet stores across the country reported a jump in puppy sales, and the American Kennel Club even noted a spike in registrations. A song about a dog in a window ended up being the third best-selling record of the entire year. Number 9, Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum, 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 bum.
A retired songwriter named Pat Ballard came out of retirement just to write this one, spending about 2 weeks putting the lyrics together. It was first recorded by a big band leader and barely got noticed.
Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over, Sandman.
Then a record producer named Archie Blyer heard it and handed it to a 4-woman harmony group he managed called the Chordettes. Their tight, close a cappella style turned it into something magical, and it sat at number 1 for 7 straight weeks in 1954.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum, 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 bum.
Decades later, it would find a strange second life, popping up in horror movies to signal that something eerie was about to happen, a long way from its original innocent, dreamy charm. Number 8, Come On to My House by Rosemary Clooney.
Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you apple a plum.
This one has one of the strangest origin stories of the decade. It was written back in 1939 by 2 cousins driving across New Mexico, one of them the famous novelist William Saroyan, based on an old Armenian folk melody. Rosemary Clooney hated it. She thought the lyrics were silly and the fake accent embarrassing, and she flatly refused to record it.
Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you all of my wage and a bird.
Her producer, the powerful Mitch Miller, told her plainly that if she didn't show up to the session, she could consider her contract over. She showed up.
Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you everything.
The song became her first number 1 hit, and the record that made her a household name, even though she never really warmed up to it. Number 7, Shaboom by the Chords.
Shaboom, if I could take you up in paradise up above. Shaboom, if you will tell me I'm the
5 young men from the Bronx wrote this song, and only got to record it because their label reluctantly let them tack it onto the back of another single as an afterthought.
Whoa, life could be a dream. Shaboom, if I could take you up in paradise up above.
A California disc jockey started playing that flip side instead, and it exploded, becoming one of the very first rhythm and blues records by a black vocal group to break into the pop charts, a genuine rarity in 1954. Almost immediately, a white Canadian quartet called the Crew Cuts recorded their own cleaned-up version, and it raced past the original all the way to number 1. The Chords never had another hit, but musicologists still point to this record as one of the true sparks that lit the fire of rock and roll. Number 6, Little Things Mean a Lot by Kitty Kalin.
little things mean a lot.
2 writers from Richmond, Virginia, a newspaper editor and a local disc jockey, wrote this gentle song about how small, quiet gestures matter more than grand romantic ones.
Blow me a kiss from across the room.
Kitty Kalin, a big band singer stepping out on her own, recorded it in 1954, and it camped out at number 1 for 9 straight weeks. Billboard later named it the single biggest song of the entire year. It also crossed the Atlantic and topped the charts in England. It was Callan's only number one, and for a voice that spent years singing backup for other band leaders, it was finally her moment in the spotlight. Number 5, Vaya Con Dios, by Les Paul and Mary Ford.
Vaya con Dios, my darling.
Les Paul was already a guitar innovator, secretly layering Mary Ford's vocals on top of each other in the studio to create a sound nobody had heard before.
Now the dawn is breaking through a great tomorrow.
Their version of this gentle Spanish-flavored ballad became one of the biggest hits of their career, sitting at number 1 for 11 straight weeks in the summer of 1953. It became the theme song for their own television show.
Vaya con Dios, my darling.
It's easy to forget now, but before multi-track recording was common practice, what Les Paul was doing in that studio was closer to science fiction than music. Number 4, The Ballad of Davy Crockett by Bill Hayes.
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Disney's television miniseries about the frontiersmen set off a full-blown national craze, with children begging their parents for coonskin caps. So many different singers rushed to release their own version of the theme song that 3 different recordings landed in the Billboard Top 10 at the exact same time.
While he was handling this risky chore, made himself a legend forever.
Something that had never happened before and has never happened since. Bill Hayes recorded his version in a single take the day after a record executive heard the song on television and called him that same night.
Davy Crockett, seeing his duty clear.
His take beat out the others and spent 5 weeks at number 1, even outselling the actor who actually played Davy Crockett on screen. Number 3, The Wayward Wind by Doggie Grant.
The wayward wind.
This one was written a decade earlier by 2 college students at UCLA, originally meant for a male singer. It sat unused until Doggie Grant, almost as an afterthought at the very end of a recording session, gave it a try and reportedly finished her vocal in about 15 minutes.
In a lonely shack by a railroad track, he spent his...
The song did something almost nobody was doing in 1956. It knocked Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel out of the number 1 spot, holding the top of the charts for 6 weeks straight.
Oh, I met him there in a border town. He vowed...
Decades later, a young Neil Young would name it as one of the songs that shaped him most as a child, tying it forever to memories of school hallways and passing trains. Number 2, 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford.
A mind that's weak and a back that's strong, you load the 16 tons.
Merle Travis wrote this one back in 1946, drawing straight from his own family's life in the Kentucky coal mines, and folding in a line his father used to say about owing his soul to the company store.
St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the...
Tennessee Ernie Ford recorded it nearly a decade later, almost by accident, rushed into the studio because he was behind on his contract, with a snapping finger rhythm added on the spot. Nobody expected a bleak, fatalistic song about crushing debt to top the charts in the middle of the cheerful 1950s.
Will you load the 16 tons? What do you get? Another day older.
It sold over 1 million copies in less than 2 weeks and became the fastest-selling single in the history of its label. Number 1, Cry by Johnnie Ray.
If you cry.
Before Elvis, before the screaming and the fainting, there was Johnnie Ray, a partially deaf singer who was discovered performing in a small Detroit nightclub.
Don't you sometimes think it's real?
When he recorded Cry in 1951, he didn't just sing it, he tore at his hair, dropped to his knees, and sobbed openly on stage, a kind of raw physical performance nobody had really seen from a pop singer before.
If your heart aches into
Teenagers rioted trying to get near him on tour. The record held the number 1 spot for 11 straight weeks and sold over 2 million copies, and Tony Bennett would later call him nothing less than the father of rock and roll. Today, his name has almost entirely faded from memory, but for a few wild years, Johnnie Ray was the biggest thing in music, crying his heart out for the whole country to hear. Which of these songs did you forget you knew? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe to Decade Legends for more of music's forgotten history.